Prior to the arrival of German engineering excellence into our lives, Big John had got himself a new girlfriend. In the preceding weeks, at several different young farmers' discos, when the slow songs came on to signal the evening's conclusion, John had been spotted with a young, blonde girl who was nearly as tall as he was. We had yet to be introduced, myself at that time of the evening doing my level best not to get pounced on by old Camshaft, a rotund convent-educated woman, well into her twenties by then, and the daughter of a local pig farmer. Camilla being her proper name, she was well known amongst young farmers as being a bit of a man-eater. Out on a job in the Ford Transit recovery lorry one Saturday lunchtime, Big John suddenly piped up, "My new girlfriend works as a waitress in a pub near here on Saturdays." This being doublespeak for wanting me to stop off at said establishment in order for him to see her. Being nosy, and secretly hoping she might have a spare single friend, I went along with it. But by the time we landed in the pub's car park, it was already after 2 o'clock. Typical of rural bars, as soon as we walked in through the door, everyone went quiet. The place was pretty dead. I couldn't spot anyone serving food, just a few old blokes propping up the bar, whilst others were spread liberally around the settles on the walls. Big John got a drink and inquired about the whereabouts of his new-found love. Due to it being slow on the grub front, waitress service had not been needed, and she had been sent off home around 1:30. So, with the bar starting to empty further, John decided to put in a call to the number he had on a scrap of paper written in eyeliner. Neither of us had a mobile back then, so the pub's payphone was employed. Everyone in the bar fell silent in order to earwig John's conversation, the upshot of which turning out to be a swift and terse exchange, the information gathered being that the girl was washing her hair, and that was in progress and to ring back in half an hour. I played the fruit machine. Big John tried bar billiards, and the half hour ground by. John's second attempt on the phone got through to whom the call was intended. With a stupid grin, he imparted that a house call had been okayed. Departing the pub, and now up in my lorry's cab, I tried to make sense of the directions and house details Big John was chuntering on about. Around 3 miles up the road, my transit, replete with an MOT failed Austin Montego on the back, had to negotiate a dogleg right-hand turn on a steep slope. After a bit of a shunt, we bumbled along a single-track lane, finding a substantial barn conversion by the roadside. Their driveway, inhabited by a nearly new Mercedes ragtop and a Range Rover, further emanating the odour of money. Reversing the Ford onto the immaculate pea gravel with a quiet crunching, we then paused for John to comb his hair and tie his shoelaces. Always a very shy lad, despite his size, I was then impressed upon to ring the ornate brass bell on the porch on his behalf. This also led to me then having to explain to the middle-aged lady who answered it our reason for being there. Eyeing us, and more so the lorry and its cargo, with suspicion, we were led into the kitchen, then ordered to wait. This room had no expense spared. It was also rather warm due to a new-looking Arga busy in one corner, whilst we tried not to leave mud on the polished floor. I was starting to make friends with a slightly vocal tabby cat when a bloke of around 50, of reasonable build with a beard and on crutches, arrived to greet us. Clearly the girl's father, he had come to check us out. Big John shook his hand first, and then I followed, the conversation mainly being directed towards the big man. Meanwhile, this making it soon becoming monosyllabic, John being so shy and all. I felt I had to jump in and try and rescue the situation. Compliments on the barn conversion, discussion about the Mercedes out front, commiserations about his cast-bound leg all followed. Seemingly having averted John's relationship death by shyness, maybe we might actually be allowed an audience with this girl. This proved to be so. Leading us slowly through to a living room of impressive stature, vaulted ceilings and all, her father beckoned us to take a seat. Already ensconced, with drinks in hand and bowls of nibbles scattered on top of a glass coffee table, were what appeared to be most of the girl's extended family. The day Big John had picked to just pop in and say hi was obviously a date of some family gathering. Her father's 50th birthday soiree, as it happened. Big John sat nervously on a sofa next to some old auntie, while I perched on the arm next to him. His new girlfriend, though very pretty, was as shy as he was, just coyly smiling at us from time to time. You could cut the atmosphere with a bread knife. Through the room's vast patio windows, the view stretched down into a valley with a capacious lake at the bottom. Something had to be done, so I started discussing the view, asked who owned the lake, Conversation sputtered along, and my brain was racing like I was trying to sell a particularly rough car that had been hastily resprayed and shoved into for sale. If anyone had seen the Carry On film where Terry Scott goes to a girl's house and gets into all sorts of awkward scrapes with her weird relations, then this was the 1990s version, but with a flailing scrap dealer as the co-protagonist. Relief coming when one of the elderly ladies decided the main food, this being whatever had been cobbling on the Argo, was indeed due to be dished out. John and I thanked them for their hospitality, but explained we would not be staying, as the car and the lorry had to be delivered back at a set time. What a manufactured lie. But it got us out of there, despite then having to explain why we had actually arrived in a Ford recovery lorry. Clearly a smart girl, John's girlfriend announced she would show us out, leaving amid many handshakes and good wishes. Finally, fresh air and the cold evening achieved, it felt like I had spent 2 hours in police interrogations. Again. Taking advantage of the darkness and the blind side of the loaded truck, Big John was indulging in some romantic investigations, which after 10 minutes I brought to a halt by turning on the lorry's flashing orange beacon recovery lights. Getting up in the cab, John was grinning from ear to ear, but all I could think about was having missed my lunch and it now being 6 o'clock, and I wanted to get back for some grub. We ground off back down the lane in the transit and away. John kept going over to see this girl all over the summer, mainly on his father's tractor, even though it was miles away. Eventually, she left for university in the autumn, his teenage summer romance over as the first leaves of autumn began to fall. Hello there. Thank you for watching my video. If you've enjoyed this, would like to see some more, please subscribe to my channel and always have a look at my playlists as well. It's much appreciated. All the best. Cheers.